Everybody's typed it into Google at least once, usually late at night. Average net worth for my age. And whatever number comes back, you either feel quietly relieved or quietly sick. So let's actually answer it. The real benchmarks by age. This is the Money Debrief. I'm Dean. If you're like me, someone who wants to learn the real mechanics behind wealth building, not just hope that things magically improve, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. But first, the number nearly every article shows you is the wrong one, and it's making millions of people feel broke who aren't. Here's why this question has such a grip on us. Net worth feels like a scorecard for your whole life. Every raise, every dumb purchase, every year you did or didn't save, rolled into one cold number. So when you compare it to people your age, it stops being math and starts being a verdict. Am I ahead? Am I falling behind? And that anxiety is exactly why the comparison gets sold to you constantly, and exactly why it's so easy to do it wrong. So before we look at a single benchmark, you need to know which number you're even looking at, because there are two, and they tell completely different stories. When most articles say the average American your age has this much, they mean the mean. You add up everyone's net worth and divide by the number of people. Sounds fair? It isn't, because a handful of billionaires are in that pool, and they drag the average into the sky. Watch what that does. According to the Federal Reserve's latest full survey, the average net worth of an American household is about $1.06 million. Sounds like everyone's rich, right? Now here's the median. The person standing exactly in the middle, half above, half below. That number is about $193,000. The average is more than 5 times higher than the typical household, and it's a mirage, the ultra-wealthy blowing up the number. So here's the rule for the rest of this video, and for the rest of your life. When you compare yourself to your age group, use the median. The average isn't people like you, it's you standing in a room with a few thousand normal people and one Jeff Bezos. All right, here are the real median numbers, straight from the Federal Reserve. Under 35, the median household net worth is about $39,000. If you're in your 20s and that feels low, good, that's the point, and we'll get to why in a second. From 35 to 44, it jumps to roughly $136,000. 45 to 54, about $247,000. 55 to 64, this is the pre-retirement stretch, roughly $364,000. 65 to 74, it peaks around $410,000. And after 75, it actually drifts back down to about $335,000 because people start spending the pile they spent a lifetime building. Look at the shape of that. Net worth isn't a number you're supposed to have, it's a curve you climb slowly and then eventually spend. And notice the biggest jumps happen later than people expect. The leap from your 30s to your 40s nearly quadruples. Not because those people suddenly got disciplined, but because compounding and home equity finally had enough time on the clock to matter. Early on, the graph looks flat and discouraging. That flat stretch is not you failing. It's the runway before the plane leaves the ground. Which is exactly why comparing your number to a single snapshot is so misleading. Before you panic at those numbers, you need to know what's actually inside them. For most households, net worth isn't a bank balance. It's two things: home equity and retirement accounts. That's the whole engine. It means two things for you. One, if you rent, you're not automatically failing. You're just building wealth in a different vehicle, and you can absolutely catch up by investing the difference instead of parking it in a mortgage. And two, a huge share of that median net worth is money people cannot touch without selling their house or hitting retirement age. So when a chart says the typical 50-year-old has $250,000, understand most of that is a paid-down home and a locked retirement account. Not spending money, not a yacht. It's slow, boring, illiquid wealth, which is a clue about how you build your own, quietly, in accounts you don't check every day. Here's the problem with the whole question. A net worth number is a photograph. It freezes one instant and tells you nothing about which direction you're moving. Two people can have the exact same net worth and be living opposite lives. Picture two 30-year-olds, both sitting at zero. The first one is at zero because he spends every dollar he earns and owes as much as he owns. He's treading water and sinking. The second is at zero because she just finished paying off her student loans last month and now has no debt and a career about to compound for 30 years. Same number, wildly different futures. The snapshot can't tell them apart. And notice how much the starting line varies. Someone who went to grad school might be deep in the red at 28 and pull ahead by 40. Someone who bought a house right before prices jumped looks rich on paper and can't touch a dime of it. The number your age should have assumes everyone started the race at the same time, on the same track, with the same weather. Nobody did. So if the snapshot lies, what should you actually measure? 3 things, and none of them require knowing what a stranger your age has. First, your trajectory. Is your net worth higher today than it was a year ago? By how much? A person going from 0 to 20,000 in 12 months is destroying a person sitting still at 100 grand. Direction beats position. Second, measure yourself against your own income, not the crowd's. A rough rule some planners use: by the time you're 30, aim to have saved about your annual salary. By 40, around 3 times it. By 50, roughly 6 times. It's not gospel, but it scales to your life instead of a national average that includes people earning 10 times what you do. Third, and most important, your savings rate. The share of your take-home pay you actually keep and invest. That single number predicts your future net worth better than your current net worth does, because it's the engine underneath the whole curve. Someone saving 20% of a modest salary will quietly pass someone saving nothing on a big one, every single time. And here's a comforting thing about those benchmarks once you understand percentiles. The median is just the middle, but the gap between the middle and the so-called winners is smaller than the internet makes it feel. You don't need to be in some rarefied top 1% to be completely fine. You need to be pointed uphill and consistent. Most of the people who end up wealthy were never near the top of any age chart in their 20s or 30s. They just refused to stall and let the boring math run for long enough that it stopped looking boring. Okay, say you ran the numbers and you genuinely are behind where you want to be. Good news. Net worth responds fast once you aim at the right levers, and there are only 3 that matter. Lever 1. Kill high-interest debt first. A credit card at 20+% is a guaranteed negative return. Paying it off is the best investment available to you, and nothing else you do will outrun it while it's bleeding. Lever 2. Widen the gap between what you earn and what you spend, then automate it. The people who climb fastest don't budget with willpower every month. They set the investment to happen the day they get paid, before they can feel the money leave. Out of sight, out of temptation. Lever 3. Let time do the heavy lifting. This is the part that feels unfair in your favor. Invest $500 a month at a normal long-term return, and in 10 years it's roughly $80,000. But leave it for 30 and it's over $500,000. You didn't work harder in years 11 through 30. Your money did.
That's the whole secret the wealthy aren't hiding. They just started the clock earlier and refused to touch it. And one warning while you climb. Watch out for lifestyle creep, because it's the quiet killer of net worth.
Every raise you fully spend doesn't just cost you that money today. It raises the number you'll need forever, pushing your own finish line away every time you get closer. The people who move up a bracket fastest bank most of their raises instead of absorbing them. Give yourself a little of every raise and send the rest straight to the engine. And the best time to start that clock is always today, at whatever number you're actually at, not the number you wish you'd hit 5 years ago. Let me be straight with you, because that's the point of this channel. The benchmark is useful for exactly one thing: a gut check. Glance at it, notice roughly where you land, and then close the tab. What it cannot do is tell you whether you're going to be okay, because okay isn't a number on a chart. It's a direction and a habit. I've watched people with well below average net worth retire comfortably because they saved relentlessly and never let their lifestyle balloon. And I've watched people who looked rich on paper end up stressed and stuck because everything they owned was borrowed and everything they earned was already spent. The chart couldn't see any of that. So if you looked at those medians and felt behind, don't spiral. Being behind a snapshot at one moment says almost nothing. Standing still says everything. The only comparison that has ever mattered is you today versus you a year ago. So, are you behind on net worth for your age? Here's the real answer. It's the wrong question. The median for your bracket is a fun fact, not a report card. The number that actually decides your future isn't sitting in any survey. It's your savings rate, your direction, and how early you start the clock and leave it alone. Get those three right, and you will pass your own benchmark on a schedule that has nothing to do with the crowd. Pick one lever this week. Kill a debt, automate one transfer, or just calculate your real number for the first time. That's not behind. That's moving. And moving is the only thing the chart can't measure. That's the Money Debrief. My name is Dean, and if this video helped you out at all, subscribe and like to see more wealth building tips and advice in your feed. I'll see you in the next debrief.